mind, we have an in-house software development team. We hire CS graduates from all institutions, FAST, MED, and the problem is they don't want to learn about finance and accounting because that's not something that they consider their forte. So rather than, and I try to push them to learn these things because at the end of the day we are a financial institution, but they rather not learn that. And if you push too much, they actually move to software houses where they don't have to learn that level of expertise. Have to have that. So what I decided is that maybe you should start getting people from the CS program at IBA because they have the background having taken these courses and they have some level of knowledge, some level of interest being at IBA, being exposed to the IBA program, being exposed to the business students as well. So I think this is a niche market that IBA can excel in. Having these graduates which are very cognizant in finance, accounting, yet having a major in computer science.
I don't mean to make it sound like a plug, but since we do have a lawyer here, you don't have any ethics or law?
Yes, that was on the previous slide. Yes. Okay. It's a required course. Always ethics.
I'd like to request 3 more courses to be added. One is parallel programming. I didn't see it.
It's an elective.
Parallel programming?
It's an elective.
Oh, okay. Simulation modeling?
Yes, again, it's an elective. As I said, I didn't list all the courses because it would become very unreadable. So.
Okay. And as much English as you can shove in the 3 years. Honestly, I interviewed, I was here on Friday, I interviewed across your entire analyst undergrad, computer science. I thought I'd come in and interview for technical, when I say technical, I mean finance, HR, something called discipline skills. In the end, well, halfway through the session, after 60 candidates, we just said, okay, if they can speak English well, they get to the next round. If they don't, that's how many of your candidate students you have.
Well, that's a big problem.
And this is not something which has to be dealt with internationally. Maybe China is trying to work with it. They haven't done a very good job either. But we really need you to help us.
No, I'd really like to make a comment. We talked about the computer languages. Now we're talking about the human languages also. I think the job of teaching English or Urdu is actually the job of the school system, not the university system. So if they come not having good English speaking skills, you can't really teach them even in those 4 years. So that's a lifelong thing.
You raise the standards of your tests.
Actually, I'm a bit surprised. I'll share an experience. There was a classmate of mine who was the first Makrani student, I believe, to get into IBA at that point. And he was a hardcore Makrani student, right? Studied in Liari, lived in Gwadar and in Karachi. And the way you speak, of course, with that, you get to hear from your guys going on that thing. But by the time he got out after 4 years, he was as good as...
No, the point, that's not the point. The point I'm saying is that the strategic focus of a 4-year degree program cannot be English language. It has to be something else. Now, I agree that you need to improve, you need to improve not only the English speaking skills, but also the Urdu speaking skills. Our Urdu language is not well in the country. People are, watching these, let's not go there. Language development is the job of the liberal arts colleges. So language development, presentation, body language, interpersonal skills, leadership, how do you conduct meetings, how do you talk in meetings without offending others, how do you stop being dominating when you need to be. Those are the kinds of things you can emphasize on, but you can't really teach them in a 4-year degree. You can emphasize them, you can do them in electives. That's what the organizations do in their first year when they take graduates. Talking about the BS program over here. A bachelor's graduate goes into an organization. The first year, any company, any large reasonable organization thinks the first year is investment in that graduate. They don't expect any great output from those such graduates. If you're a reasonably large organization, you will be investing in the first 1 or 2 years. You get your return in 3rd and 4th years. So I think it's the organizations which then teach you, how do you behave in meetings, how do you conduct, so on and so forth. So that's just, I was just saying that you really can't do everything in 4 years. 4 years is very limited time. You have to do a lot of things. So let's have some priorities. Maybe something can drop.
I actually have a question, or I would like you to comment on that. The average legal understanding of a graduate coming out of a US college is fairly high because the culture teaches you how to prevent yourself from getting sued or how to sue somebody when you have an opportunity. I mean, it's just in the air. So what would be an appropriate, especially for the industry which is export focused or is taking support calls from abroad and they are interacting with people over there, what should be at least some introductory aspect of legal perspective that a student, a graduate student should get into?
And before you answer that, also considering that IPR is being created here, whether it be at Tamil Bank or within the software organizations, that should also be added to the course for BA students.
Well, so if you allow me, talking about, yes, I agree with Kamran that a BS program cannot teach you languages. That is something, even if you have a course on that. But what you can add here is something like technical documentation, because if you're becoming a consultant or a programmer, an analyst. At some point in time, you will need to do a lot of. What we can do is probably take something like the engineering universities. They do formally teach the documentation skills, the technical documentation skills. We can actually put together a course or take some of their experiences and add something like that, because many.
There is technical.
There is that.
Okay.
It's quite comprehensive. Those courses, we have done a lot of meetings on developing this curriculum.
That is an area. I'm not talking about IBA. I have come across so many in the last 15 years of my career. That is an area of weakness of almost all, if not all. That is an area where if you do have a course, we need to probably emphasize, focus on.
I think the message has to go loud and clear out from IBA, from institutions like yourselves, for people who want to get into that English is an important factor. What I see as, I'm probably not the youngest here, but maybe as one of the younger people, when we were in university and we used to interact with people, there was a certain bent of mind, English is important but not that important. That has to change. It is the most important language that you have to learn. Urdu is important for a heritage degree and for domestic, but a lot of IBA students go abroad. You want to make them marketable and exportable, the HR from IBA also. Coming to the legal point, again, in order to make IBA graduates marketable and exportable abroad, they have to understand the ethics and what they can or cannot do and how to basically function in that sort of reality in other places. Legal will be very important. That is something that universities in the US do teach. Part of the social culture in which they actually develop, also as part of a lot of the courses that they're dealing with. It is important. Now, if you just look at it from a Pakistan perspective, you've got e-commerce as a course, you've got a module here. Now, there's a law related to that, which maybe they know or don't know about. There's a law related to cryptography, right, Kamran? Right. There's a law related to intellectual property, to copyright. There's a law related to trademarks, and it's related to domain names, not just trademarks, but domain names specifically. There's a legislation related to patents, whether or not they can be filed. Now, what I want to sort of refer to that as an applied law, not law in general. There's jurisprudence and philosophy. उसको छोड़ देना. आप कहेंगे भाई अगर आप एक प्रोग्रामर हैं या अगर आप engineering कर रहे हैं, what you need to make sure is that they understand how to protect their innovation, how to protect their employees' innovation, how to ensure that there's security of between that pursuit. You have to give them an idea of what legislations and what enforcements can take place against them if supposing they as a employee future violate, or what remedies they can provide to their employer saying, hey, look, I want to make sure that this is protected by registering this patent for registering. Now I'll give you an example. If your students don't know that you can't register a patent for software in Pakistan, that's a problem. If they don't know beyond that they can register a patent, the same patent in the US, that's also a problem because they're not able to protect for your businesses. So you have to give them not just a Pakistani perspective, you have to give them a slightly broader perspective internationally, because that's where our export market really deals with it. That's what our relationships internationally in the IT sector deal with. So answering your question, you need a small module, not too much, don't overburden them, but make it applied, make it local as well as international. That would be my feedback.
Especially on the ethics side as well.
Yeah.
That's something that needs to be covered a bit more in detail with ground realities, because sometimes some of the people just out of ignorance do commit such mistakes, and that creates problems for them and employers.
So I'll give you 3 examples of that, 3 practical examples. Data protection doesn't exist in Pakistan. We don't talk about it in Pakistan. We don't understand because we don't have law relating to it. But data protection applies to the European Union, applies to the UK, and it is literally a barrier for you to not be able to do business with the European Union. So that just closed off the entire market. How to get across it? What they need to understand the issue of privacy and data protection when they're dealing with data mining. Because when you talk about data mining, etc., they need to know that that's an issue. One. Two, they need to understand that from a perspective when they're dealing with the employer, etc., poaching ki kya issues hai. As was said earlier today, the biggest problem we're having now, I've seen at least in the last 1 month, I've seen 2 cases in which not poaching.
I actually represent a bank.
Not only of people locally, but of their clients internationally has led not only to civil litigation and damages suits against them, it has led to criminal action and investigation and arrests. So they need to understand that aspect. I mean, it's reality, it's not just a theoretical aspect. And a lot of kids don't understand, kya hack kar liya, kya ho gaya? So what's going to happen? So those are the kind of little things that need to be sort of explained to them. Look, it is a crime, they can come after you, here are examples, make sure you don't do these things, make sure you tell other people not to do these things. And in a way it's also to protect their businesses if they ever go into them.
Totally agree with you, especially the comment about patents. I've had to educate people over here in my organization, graduates from computer science institutions, about patents, the ability that they can have. They have to protect their IP, the companies, and anything that they've conjured up over the course of employment with Namir Bank. They just are not aware that they can file patents, software, or any innovation that they've come up with as a concept, or whether it's a software application, locally and internationally. There's not that level of understanding. The other part is plagiarism, which I wanted to add. What do you do about plagiarism? How do you make sure that the assignments which are submitted are not plagiarized? Do you have something like turnitin.com where you're saying, okay?
Yes, we are using across the board turnitin.com,
okay,
and we've got our own license that was given to us by HEC, and not only up to the essays but also to the programming code. We encourage students to submit their assignments on Turnitin, and we are using the cloud. It's really effective being used.
Okay, so programming assignments as well as written assignments.
Written assignments, anything in writing is going on Turnitin.com. We are getting 2 advantages out of it. The first is that it has been automatically checked, and second is that we are not producing lots of so that's the second advantage.
We're still waiting for Rosita.
I'm done. So
on the English point, I really appreciate it is not the job of the university teachers. What I've noticed in the last few years here, I've been in Pakistan for like 2 years, is that unfortunately a declining trend in English in the last 2 years. Well, I remember going to university 3 years ago, I found better English speakers coming out than there are now. Not your job to solve it, but we're in this together. If anyone has any ideas, I'd love to brainstorm. Honestly, we can't hire without English.
There used to be a very good course, just to add on that, which I don't know if it's still part of the bachelor's program, BBA program, which used to be called oral communication. I mean, maybe that is something that really, we had some good teachers and that really improved the lot of the student. And if that is taken, I think that will solve that problem.
Actually,
Because,
what I wanted to ask was, are you having problems attracting the caliber that you did 4 or 5 years ago? Because that's what it feels like to me, that you're actually, it's your intake process which you're struggling with compared to where you were 4 or 5 years ago. It's not your job to teach English. And I agree it's also very hard to fix it at age 18. It's not that easy to fix much earlier.
age of 3.
I mean, we're not having trouble attracting students because if you look at the numbers, the ratios are going up. So if you look at how many people are applying in years before, it used to be smaller, and now we've grown from, let's say, 2,000 to 3,000 to 4,000 and so on. So number of applicants is increasing, but we are continuously having this problem in terms of communication skills, in terms of writing skills. So I don't know where the problem is coming from. Perhaps it's the deterioration in the school standards, but it is not a problem of numbers.
Not numbers, but maybe quality.
Yeah.
But maybe it's not a question of absolute numbers. Maybe it's a question of from which institutions are people applying. Has the ratio, for instance, sorry to use this word, Karachi Grammar School gone up or gone down? Has the ratio of people applying from those sort of institutions, from BAU, etc., is it going up or going down? So I mean, that may be another analysis to make up to answer that question.
Also, I would like to actually disagree with you. I think there is a lot that can happen at the university graduate school, engineering graduate school in the States, half of the intake is from China and India and so on, and they have terrible English when they come in. And by the time they've gone through 2 years of grad school and 2 or 3 years of a job, they're doing pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, I was not saying that nothing will happen. I'm simply saying that it is not your focus. I mean, they go to the US because they're going to the Oklahoma State University has got 100,000 students, and there are all kinds of language courses. I can go and learn Greek, Chinese, Spanish, whatever I want. That's what those Chinese students do. In fact, a lot of foreign students, their governments actually mandate, especially when they're sending people out on scholarships to universities in the UK or US. I know they did this in Malaysia. They mandate that they will first go through 1 year of English teaching in a school which specializes on teaching English, and then they go into a university. So maybe if IBA wants to have people who speak excellent English and write excellent English, they should insist that people come with a certificate from such an institution, or otherwise prove it through some exam mechanism, entry exam mechanism, and then.
But I think this is also.
I was simply saying that the 4 years, what we haven't spent time here doing is how is that 4-year progress structured? Because we've talked so much about which language are they going to learn, Java or Python or whatever. How do you structure the progression of those 4 years? Because in their 3rd and 4th years, students are worried about employment. I mean, we are not the richest country in the world. Students want to go out and get jobs. Very few people can afford to go and straight go to a master's. The kind of economy we are moving, we have a big middle class now. Everybody's not rich, everybody's not going to come from grammar school. People are worried about getting jobs. So in the 3rd and 4th years, maybe there has to be intense industry and university collaboration. I would like to ask, how many rupees of industry funding does IBA get every year for industry funded projects? Is there a concept that exists in this university? Because that's the biggest. Every dean in a university which has a good reputation gets measured on how many dollars he or she attracts from the industry. And usually when my bank will invest, I will actually give them a slew of problems to solve. I have a lot of problems that I need solved in my institute, in my organization, in my bank. And this is a very fertile ground to do that, but the process is not there. Maybe we can start it now, but it's not there where industry actually funds academia to solve problems which are relevant to the industry. You see, in our country, we need to solve a lot of industry-specific and society-specific problems, and the funding has to be there, and the 3rd and 4th year bachelor students should actually focus on that. It will also get them employed, it will get our economy going. But the 1st and 2nd year is where they can teach the English, and they can teach the basic problem solving, and they can make sure that they are well-rounded, and they can learn, they should study philosophy, they should study Plato, they should study Aristotle, because those are actually the things which get you by in corporate life. In a boardroom, nobody talks about any technical stuff. It's about human interactions, where psychology is about reading minds. And when you read Plato, and there are some Muslim people, Al-Farabi, Ibn Sina, you can read them, teach them that in the 1st and 2nd year. They're written in Arabic, there are English translations, language is not a problem. 1st and 2nd year, I think basic, 3rd and 4th year, industry specific, that's the need of our economy. We should talk about what we do in 4 years. Can we talk a little bit about it?
The fault is industry, right? We've also created a perception that programmers will not make as much money as, working in marketing for Procter & Gamble. Right? A little bit of that is our fault as well. So sometimes the solution is for us to present a technical career, and when I say technical career, I mean both a consulting career and your technical career as a long-term plan where you can make 6-figure salaries, etc. So I think I'm willing to make that commitment, presenting a long-term technical career as an option. But would it help for us to come around and say, if you have perfect English skills, we'll pay an extra 5,000 a month. Would that help to create the focus during those 4 years? And in my free time, if I learn English, I'll get an extra 5,000 a month. This country is very money oriented, like many other countries in the world. Would that help you? I'll put an extra 5K on the table a month for anyone with perfect English skills. So they don't come to me and say, I want to work for 30RG. They come and say, I want to work for CRG. I mean, we're open to helping.
I think I graduated like in 1989 for the MIS program, the GATE, and out of a class of around 23, I think only 2 people went into the IT. Most of them are the CEOs of marketing companies or mutual fund companies. I think this program, MIS program, was a very broad-based program. It dealt And coming to the English part, I think we are overplaying the English angle. I think for those who have ambition and passion to grow and prosper, progress, I think they do it on their own. But I think that the core thing is about the program and the knowledge. I think that has to be really focused upon. I think English comes, I think, on the secondary part.
I'm sorry, sir. I've never, sorry, I've not really contradicted anybody, but I will give one direction. You're saying that, of course, people who have the disability of not having the English language very well spoken do well in life, but they do it with a disability. That's what I think. That is the way international market perceives it. But if you can improve the English skills, then that disability will not be there. Because that is exactly how it will be perceived in the international market. So what I would suggest is not saying that, of course, you will be a failure if you don't know English. Of course, you can make it. People have made it. My guy lineage has done it in exactly the same way. That's not a problem. But if we have to focus on saying that this is a disability that Pakistani students tend to have, let's try and augment it. This is what I think Raheem's trying to say, and try to make sure that we can improve that aspect so that they can have that advantage as opposed to having that disability. Sure, they're talented. Of course, we know that they can make it. But let's give them that augmentation.
Yeah, sorry, Ravi, I just wanted to, this study that came out from Harvard in the year 2004. I mean, first of all, let's be very clear. English is important. It's the universal language. Maybe in 10 years, Chinese will also be important. So let's learn that also, okay? But IBA is not the only place that can teach this. I mean, you have to have other institutions, peripheral. Across the road, there should be an English language institute. IBA can mandate that anybody who wants to come in, he needs to get a certificate from that institute to certify certain levels. So we are not saying that English is not important. I mean, if that's the case, I think everybody agrees. You can't really do business in the world. You're not even in Pakistan. We're simply saying, how will you spend the 4 years of your resource time, your faculty time, and the student time? What are the most important things you will do? That's actually the whole thing. But the Harvard study of 2004 actually said that the English language skills of Pakistani BPO industry workers is many levels better than those in India and Eastern Europe and China. Okay, so we already have an advantage. Let's not say that we are bad because we don't know English. We're actually better. Let's get even better. But the Indian industry became so big at the level of English skills that they are at. They have that accent problem. They have that South India, whatever. But it's not like a kind of a barrier, and it is important. We're not discounting that either. But I once again really want to come back and I want to talk about how are these 4 years going to be spent, because I think it's very important that we do that in today's session. Otherwise, we wouldn't have really got much out.
Okay, I'll start this presentation and I'll not be taking more time. And this is a pure technical curriculum, completely orthogonal to the MBA program, because here we are talking about programs. Now it is, let me create the scenario. This is the program for graduates who have joined the industry at the junior level, and they are looking for an vertical, growth in their academia. So this is a 30 credit hours course, and the thesis is an option for them. So a student can either go to the thesis track or can go through the coursework track. However, they have to do some sort of research work, whether it is in the form of thesis or in the form of some research credit work. Now, these courses are divided into specialization tracks that are recommended by the ACM or IEEE. And those specializations are net-centric computing, human-computer interaction, intelligent systems, software engineering, information management, and theoretical computer science. Now, any student who is reading for this course has to take at least 2 tracks or 2 specializations as minimum to complete his or her master's. And in one particular specialization, he or she can take up to 4 courses. Any student who wants to have a broader horizon can take 3 or 4 specializations as well. So at the moment that the courses that we are offering are requirements engineering, which is from the software engineering track, enterprise integration, which is from the info management track, operations and technology management, again from the info management track, information industry structure and competitive strategy, again from the info management track, SAP ABAP programming. Now this course is common, so you saw this course as an elective for the DS program, also as an option for the MS program students, and then advanced HCI, which is coming from the HCI track. So these are the courses that we are offering at the moment in this semester. Now if you see that the courses, if I just go back to the first slide, that the courses, if you just go to this MS curriculum slide, and that the courses that the students would be reading has to be from these tracks. And then those courses can be, in any domain. And here, the problems that we are facing, the challenges that we are facing are getting quality faculty members, because these are the specialization tracks, and it is very difficult to get quality faculty for these areas. And second is that when we get the opinion from students, again, they are focusing towards information management because they feel that that is the area in Pakistan where they will be getting better options. So these are the two challenges that we are facing.
This MS program is not a typical MS program that you would see in the West, where you're writing better, faster compilers or working on system level algorithms or advanced techniques. So this is more of a slightly kind of a business tilted or industry tilted MS? I mean,
no, this is the traditional MS program. If you see, when you're talking about writing compilers, it would be going into net-centric computing. Now the idea is that these are the specialization areas, and then based on the specialization and based on the requirements, we can add new courses into this area. Now this is the MS program, and we don't want these courses to be very typical of the undergrad level, where we can ask any faculty member who has done some sort of courses, we can request him to teach that course. Now we are looking people who have got experience from industry or have done some research into that area, then we should be able to offer that course. And what we see, for example, if we get a specialized person, let's say in mobile computing, we first try to put that particular course in one of these categories, and then we recommend that course to our students that, okay, this is the course that we are planning to offer. And in this way, we are sort of offering our master's program. The idea is that we don't want to compromise on quality. And we feel that an MS graduate of IBA should be able to target the mid-management of an organization. Maybe at the technical level or maybe at the...
So from an industry standpoint, I mean, I'm slightly confused, and I'll pose the question to all of us here. If an MS graduate from IBA comes out, where do we place him? I mean, these are 6 specialization areas. How do we figure out which one is actually the one that I need, and without going into, well, show me the coursework, let me see what projects you did. I mean, without diving into the a lot more detail into what they actually studied, can we just figure out from looking at their specialization and know that, yeah, I need this guy or not?
I'm confused as well. Do you have to have a bachelor's in computer science to take this course?
Yes, you have to have a bachelor's in computer science. This is a vertical program.
Okay, so this is a master's in advanced computer.
You can say it's master's in computer science.
Right.
A typical master's.
Masters which are conversion programs from other degree disciplines. This builds on the undergrad.
Now, if you see, for example, let's say we are having a physics graduate who wants to go for this master's program. Now, he may be eligible for some of the specializations. Let's say since he has done physics, probably he has read for his microprocessors in his advanced physics or applied physics, for example. So he may be eligible for net-centric computing courses, but he may not be eligible for intelligent systems or software engineering. So he has to do certain prereqs, and those prereqs would be those undergrad BS courses that he has to take.
So I think, I agree, but I don't think we can generalize this. You have to look at each student individually. What you do get is an extra year of maturity.
Well, we would of course try to make it simpler for you by putting it on the transcript as to which specialization track is chosen. So that
right, but the specialization tracks are not kind of standardized. So it's like mobile computing. Well, where would you put in? I mean, it's an interesting question. Different people may have different ideas where mobile computing should go in. So if someone has a net-centric computing master's, I would like a little bit more so that I know what that means. That was kind of my point. Information management is a fairly generic term. I don't know what that entails. specialization in information management means what, it's not obvious just by looking at this.
What's the class size?
Usually the class size is like 15 to 16
So it
students.
is a very, very small class.
Master's programs are usually like
Is this supposed to lead on to a PhD track or not?
Definitely yes, because the students who are pursuing research as their career would be looking for the PhD option, whereas students who are looking or targeting industry, they are taking, now for example, I'm teaching advanced HCI. Now I'm talking about usability engineering, I'm talking about evaluation methods, and we are looking into lots of case studies, and one or two case studies we also adopted from the Pakistani industry. Now that is basically putting them into a place where they have got, you know, the complete or a broader sense about HCI, and they can implement those HCI templates within their organizations. Now these students that I am teaching to, they are all, you know, working in the industry as software programmers or junior project managers. So when they get this knowledge, they immediately apply this knowledge to their problems, and then they come up with you know, different suggestions, different solutions. So in this manner, we get a very highly interactive class, discussing various ideas and things.
Is it mandatory to have, say, 2 years or a year experience before entering?
We encourage students who have got 1 or 2 years experience.
Because the
But
outer
it's-
part, the MBA program now mandates it,
Yeah.
which makes a lot of sense because the industry is what right now we are talking about, as everyone would be talking. So would it be appropriate to have certain number of years, probably a year or two, before someone gets into this program?
So far, we haven't made that a mandate because the idea for the MBA is quite different. In an MBA program, you need to have that experience so that you can actually learn. You can't learn from an MBA course unless you've actually gone through that personal experience. But in an MS, you don't necessarily have to have that exposure to the industry to be able to learn the technology-based courses. So the idea is a little different, but it can perhaps still be thought about, that whether it would help or not. Initially we offered this as a full-time morning program, but the main demand from the industry was that they wanted to have it as a part-time evening program, because everybody who wanted to apply was already had jobs. So we were forced to actually offer it in the evening.
Yeah, that was what I was feeling. It's a shame, right, that people are comfortable enough to give up their job, go specialize with the confidence that they'll come back into the market.
Yes, it's a
It's
demand
about
supply.
other rails. Yeah, they have to pay bills for the
Like, what about faculty? Is the faculty not available in the morning? Is that they are practitioners? They cannot come during the day visiting faculty. Is that an issue?
We should see who is coming. You know, for MS, people coming from middle class family or upper middle class family, not high class family, those who can simply say, come on, I don't need that job, I'm going for my studies. So you should be looking at it that this is the actually it's a problem that those who are coming from those who have done BS, they are coming for MS and they're doing programming job or some database administration job or networking job in the daytime. So they are coming for MS.
Yeah,
I would agree
a
with
lot
you.
of those people would give up that job, come to IBA for the MBA program with the confidence that after coming out of that, they'll be
Those who
doing
can
that.
afford to.
No.
And Pakistan is not usually a two-income household that the wife will earn enough while the husband goes to college or vice versa. So these are ground realities, you know. But we have to.
I think an evening program makes a lot more sense.
Yeah,
than MS.
absolutely.
Just to make
For a
this,
host of reasons.
just to make these specializations a little bit clear, these are the courses that we have planned that they basically fall into these categories. Like for example, in Net Center, we have got advanced computer networks, which has been offered once, and then we have got mobile computing, wireless communication, information security, and distributed systems. Then for intelligent systems, we have got advanced artificial intelligence, knowledge discovery and data mining, evolutionary computing, probabilistic reasoning, and mechatronics. So any course in front of it, if you see a number, that is the course that has been offered or has been prepared. For human-computer interaction, we have advanced human-computer interaction, usability engineering, interactive design, GUI design, multimedia and multimodal systems, web technologies, social software, and user-centered software development and software evaluation. For information management, we've got operations and technology management, enterprise integration, social computing applications, information industry structure and competitive strategy, SAP ABAP programming courses, and data warehousing courses. So for software engineering, these are the courses that we have planned. Quality assurance, requirements engineering, project management, web engineering, advanced web technologies. And for theoretical courses, we have got advanced theory of communication, formal methods, advanced computer architecture, and advanced analysis of algorithms.
And they have to do two?
Two from minimum of two from any of the specialization.
And you need how many courses to finish the specialization?
They can go to a maximum of 4, basically, in a particular specialization. Because a 30 credit hour course, so...
Minimum 2 specializations.
Yeah.
What's in the advanced computer architecture?
Basically, advanced computer architecture will be talking about parallel programming. Basically, it would be also looking into the evolutionary systems like cluster computing, and then it will be also be looking into going beyond cluster computing, and so it would be sort of, I'm not in specialist in advanced computer architecture, but these sort of topics we are looking at.
Is that offered as an option in the undergrad programs with advanced computer architecture, or only in the MS?
I don't think so.
It's not. Can you please put those electives in the third and fourth year?
Okay, let me interject. We have to be practical in that. To be very honest with you, when put all the electives, but students have their own priorities, and they just look at the job market. Just go to rosie.pk and see which jobs are offered. And when they go there, they see most of the jobs are of PHP developers, ASP.NET. Let it come here. IBA, So there is no job for parallel programmer. I have been teaching AI for last 3 years, and in each class I invite their lecturer. It was just the last time I invited someone from DRT that we were able to relate some AI concepts to what is being done in the industry. But overall, the general perception is that industry is solving very different set of problems than what we are teaching, or we are trying to teach curriculum. So we have to be practical, I would say.
So let me ask a related question. Can undergraduates take these courses if they want?
Yes,
they can.
Up to the 500 level courses, yes, they can.
But once again, the jobs listed on Rosie, Dr. Ashok left saying that you aspire to develop graduates for the high spectrum and also for non-low level tech. And yet, ASP developers, programmers, I'm assuming they're not high spectrum. So are you trying to establish your own status, or are you?
What I would say is we have two setups. So one is student who wanted to join IBA for any course. So if they got admission at the BBA level, they were very excited. But even if they didn't get, they want to join IBA for any program. So they opted for BS program. And at the back of their mind, they wanted to have an IBA degree. And later on in their life, they may want to do MBA or some other. And then there's another set of someone who want to do programming, and they are looking at the job market. So if there's a better job opportunity in any particular field, either it's for ASP or for your database or for net, whatever, then let's say for these days, mobile computing is a very hot topic. So they by themselves, try to learn all the relevant tools and techniques. So I think it's somewhat driven by the job market.